Live from the Scheinfeld Center Innovator Studio at Santa Barbara City College, it's the Enlightened Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Julie Samson, director of the Scheinfeld Center, and thank you for joining us here to build livelihoods that matter, be your own boss, and make the world an even better place. You know, leading a self-directed passion project supports mental wellness and applied creativity. It builds in-demand entrepreneurship skills and better relationships, and so much more. But even the most passionate of us can struggle with roadblocks to bringing our great ideas to life. If you struggle with finding the time, inspiration, the follow-through to start and advance your self-directed project, you're in luck, because there are keys found within the entrepreneurial mindset and skill set to turn your passion into action through your project to create the experience and the impact that you're after. For over 10 years, I've helped students and business owners launch their ventures, and the keys I'm going to share with you come up over and over as being integral to project completion and business launch. So let's break it down into 4 main concepts that simplify project leadership. First of all, working on projects you're passionate about actually supports your well-being. It's important to understand this concept. The National Wellness Institute defines wellness as an active process through which people become aware of and make conscious choices toward a better existence. What's really great about this definition is that it describes a shift from unconscious living to conscious living, where you actively make choices, promote your success and well-being. And we know that wellness is multidimensional and commonly described as having 8 dimensions: emotional, physical, social, intellectual, environmental, spiritual, occupational, and financial. So it's not like any one thing that you do, even a passion project, is the ultimate solution in itself to establish wellness. However, you can definitely touch every aspect of wellness that I just mentioned in your project. And this will make more sense as we define a passion project. So, like any project, a passion project has a specified beginning and an end, and it requires a sequence of tasks for completion. But a passion project differs from other projects in that it's self-led, so you complete the project of your own volition. It aligns with your interests, your values, and your mission. It leverages your skills and your strengths, and it creates positive impact that's beyond yourself and achieves a targeted outcome. It also demonstrates originality. So a passion project can come in infinite forms, but some categories are community events or projects, such as a series of workshops or lectures, creating a garden, creating a club. It could be communications pieces, such as a podcast, a YouTube channel, social media. It could be doing primary or secondary research. It could be authorship, documentation, publishing, maybe creative projects that amplify awareness, such as murals, exhibitions, dance recitals, new products and services that improve the life of others. Really, there's no limit to what your passion project can be. So given the dimensions of wellness and given the parameters of passion projects, it's easy to see how they can support wellness. So on the emotional, physical, and social levels, there are nice studies that show that when you engage in interests you enjoy, you're more likely to have lower stress levels, a lower heart rate, and better mood. You're also more likely to engage in the world around you, and you'll experience the brain chemistry of positivity. So when you complete passion projects, and you'll also develop in-demand skills in entrepreneurship that you can apply on the job or in your business, and that can impact your finances. Skills like identifying problems as opportunities and creating innovative solutions, identifying needed resources and managing them well, teamwork and collaboration, active listening and communication, and so much more. These are all the skills that you can develop with your passion project. And in these ways, a passion project supports your wellness. Sounds great, right? But what gets in the way of this? Well, one of the common reasons people decide not to embark on passion projects is that they feel they don't have enough time to take on yet another thing. So understandable, right? Especially these days. But remember, when we talked about passion projects as a proven way to help you towards your goal, whether it's transferring to a four-year university, landing a job, starting your own business, just having more joy in your life and creating positive impact, whatever it is, we talked about how much they contribute to health. So if you're motivated to start a passion project, but you feel you don't have the time, I have 3 tips for you, because even people with busy schedules can start their own passion project. Actually, I'm going to give you a bonus tip too, so I'll give you 4. Okay, the first one is to define your passion project. This definition is super important. You need to know what is your intended purpose and outcome for your passion project. You want to know where you want to end up at, so you can reverse engineer and understand where you need to start from. Once you understand the beginning and the end, you can fill in what are the tasks and the milestones that you need to achieve in between. This will give you an idea of the time that your passion project is going to need. And this is really important, because if your passion project, say you are transferring to a 4-year university and you want this passion project to be something that really spotlights who you are, in, for instance, your application essay, you want to be able to say, I'm passionate about this. I started this project. I was here. I created the strategy for it. I went through all the steps. These are the metrics that I measured along the way. These are the outcomes that I achieved. And whether you're successful or not with that project, you have really important things to share about your passion, about who you are as a leader, and about the impact that you want to create with the world. And it's easy to show them. It's easy to connect the dots then between you and the institution or the organization that you're going for a job for. I got to tell you, I do a lot of hiring, okay? And if anybody comes to me and shares with me what they have been engaged in and has done the research about my organization, the Scheinfeld Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and they say, this is why I want to work here, and this is what I've done to help build the skills for it, and this is how I'm going to apply them if I have the great fortune of being in the position. That makes you memorable. That makes you stand out from a sea of applicants. And it's the magic of passion projects. And this isn't just something that we're doing here at SBCC, at the Scheinfeld Center. If you look at passion projects, there are actually consultants that work just with students like you to design and carry out and showcase your passion projects. So this is a game changer. This is so much a game changer, and it doesn't matter what you want to do. You can set it up to get that much further towards that goal, towards that impact you want to create, and be able to move forward with that towards the vision that you have. So when you have these steps and tasks that you've identified, you're going to get a sense of that time that is required for it, right? Now, what you need to do is find out where that time is going to come from, right? So a very enlightening experience is that everybody has the gift of 24 hours in a day. And if completing a passion project is a priority for you, and you have trouble identifying and you're kind of on the edge of should I do this or not, this exercise will really help you. So first of all, you want to go back to those 8 dimensions of wellness: physical and emotional, intellectual and social, environmental and spiritual, occupational and financial. And identify which of these your passion project touches. Wherever it touches, that segment of wellness is going to have to be a priority for you in order to support your passion project. So the next thing to do is to go online. Once you have your wellness priorities, go online and Google 24-hour time management circle. And what you'll find is it's just a circle. It looks like a pie. There's 24 slices to the pie, 1 for each hour in the day. And what you want to do is go ahead and, in general, color each of those slices. This is where you get to be creative. Color each of the slices for each type of activity you typically engage in during the day. So, sleep might be blue, exercising might be red, study time might be purple, right? So you just, for every hour in the day, you identify where do you typically spend your time. And it's really important to be honest here about how you waste time, okay? I mean, it's good to have time to relax, but is that relaxation bona fide relaxation time that's recharging you, where you emerge from it refreshed and ready to go? Or is it this or binging on Netflix? Or, there's so many different ways that we can spend time in ways that don't really serve us all that well. And, like we said, it's a conscious choice, but if your priority is to complete your passion project, or it's any priority in life that you're like, I have got to do this. It's so important to get a handle on where you tend to go, in order to kind of maybe decompress, but in a kind of a halfway kind of way, right? I'll share with you one of the things that happens for me is, I like working hard. I really like going for it. I like when there's a defined project and there's an end, and the tasks, the things I need to do come into play. It's like, I am all for that. With that, I really need downtime. And something that'll happen for me is on the weekend, it's usually on a Friday night or on a Saturday morning. I'm just like, I've earned to do nothing. I've earned the time to view endless YouTube videos, TikTok videos on YouTube. You can get into, can get into the scrolly thing, and it's a cute thing, or I'm kind of learning something, or it can be a podcast that turns into another podcast and into another podcast, right? But inside I can feel like, I so deserve this. But in reality, if I was really taking care of myself, I would pluck myself out. I would get outside. I would spend time with my horse. I would be out in the sunshine. I would be enjoying nature. I would come back from that so much more rejuvenated, right? So I actively have to work with myself in order not to get into that, in order to choose another path that better supports me and my wellness. So I share that because there might be those things for you that's like, yeah, kind of the rabbit hole, and it might be good to consider those and kind of rethink that, and maybe try some different things that, better support you. So wherever there's disparity between how you spend your time and really where you need to spend your time to get this passion project done on the timeline that you have, that's what you need to work out. There's the opportunity and there's a solution in that. And of course, as this all goes along, even with the best well-made plan, things will come up, right? So you have to allow for adjustments. But the thing is not to totally derail, totally get off the track of, your vision and kindling your passion and, moving this thing forward. So this is where that self-leadership, you can see why doing a passion project demonstrates such good self-leadership to those that may be evaluating you for a position that you want. Okay, so it's important too that for some projects, they might be super big. They might, span over years, the thing to do with that is to break it down into bite-sized chunks. So I think it's a bite-sized chunk would be a month segment of that project. So if you take that big project and you break it down into meaningful separate chunks and something that you can accomplish within a month, you go ahead and work that segment and then you work the next segment. So you've broken your project down into meaningful chunks or slices that you can keep momentum going with. And this is super important. So this happens with student entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs so much, right? You have this big vision of what you want to create. The thing is that big vision is years down the road often, right? And so it becomes so hard in the present to make meaningful action towards that big vision that you have. So if you break that up and you come up with the chunk that if I do that for this next 30 days, if I accomplish these things, I've done a part of this, right? And then you move to the next chunk and you'll get that feeling of really living your passion. It won't feel so heavy and inundating. You can work that out so that whatever time slice you have for your passion project, that you make it so that it fits into that. Even if it's 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes every 2 days, it's important. You know why? This world will crush the passion that you have with all the different responsibilities that you have, right? Think about it. There are just so many things that maybe you want to do, but it's like demands, due dates, things that come up. If you have an open time, sometimes, things will rush in to fill up that time, right? So it's so important as a good steward of your passion that it's going to fuel the thing in the world that only you can do in your particular way. The thing that the world needs you to do. A colleague of mine says the world needs more of you. In order to do that, you need to be a good steward of that passion. So this passion, this fire, this thing that energizes you, the thing that gets you fired up when you start thinking about things that you want to do, impact that you want to create, experiences that you want to have, that is your magic. That's your fire in the belly. And it's important that you kindle that and don't let it fan out, right? And the way that you can do that is by even keeping that project going in just the smallest of slices. And it may be that for a period of time, things come into your life and, it's like, I thought I was going to have hours to do this. I don't. Get into that mode of, okay, so how do I honor this part of myself? And how do I keep that flame, that little ember glowing and keep it moving forward? Because that passion, entrepreneurs tell us, we can see it. That passion is what gets you through thick and thin. All right. It's going to be your big why of why you keep on going when the going gets tough. And we all need that, especially in this world where there are a lot of unknowns and uncertainties. This is key to your resilience, to being able to land on your feet no matter what comes your way. Okay, so this thing about being able to prioritize, scope your project into bite-sized chunks, is super important. And then committing to it. Okay, there's a saying from Yoda, the Jedi Master from Star Wars. The saying is, do or do not, there is no try. I love this. This quote is such a simple lesson in commitment and the power of giving something our all and not just giving it a try, right? Try to lift that pencil in front of you as opposed to actually lifting it. Try to lift it. Go ahead and try. Are you getting any closer to lifting it, right? Be honest with yourself. Either it's a definite yes right now, or if it's a definite no right now. And if it's a no right now, when might it be a yes? All right. This thing of being kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, maybe one day, this is why people have guitars that are, hanging on the wall, whatever, for years, that they've always wanted to pick up, right? But it's still there, right? It's like, well, either use it or not, decide it's going to be an art piece and let go of yourself, kind of nagging at yourself that, oh, I would really like to do that. It's not if I had time, right? Those messages, get rid of those. Be in there, there is do or do not. There is no try. I think it's fabulous, sage advice. All right. So given all of this, there's a question that comes up. So does everyone have time for a passion project? I think from everything that I've said, you can see that the answer is yes. It can be scaled to what time you have available. But if it's what you're really passionate about and it's really going to support your wellness, be a good steward of it and give it what it needs in order to keep that flame going and have that really serve you and the world. So let's see, a question that was sent in earlier. This is really good. Many people struggle to bring their projects to life as they're not being held accountable for taking time to work on their projects. Okay, so the simple and brilliant solution to this that comes out of entrepreneurship is that you should belong to an entrepreneurial community of thinkers, designers, makers, doers, people who are bringing ideas to life. This group of people is going to be unlike any other, okay? They are made that way, where they are creating things and bringing things to life. You being in that environment will help ideas pop and brainstorming to happen that would never happen if you're just doing this on your own. That is the beauty of community. The great ideas that move forward, that become the products and services that change our lives, that is, when they're really having impact, on a broad scale, there's a team involved with that. And if you are a solo entrepreneur, you still have those supportive services, whatever they are, that either help you run your life or help you run your business. Okay. So this activity of applied creativity is not a lone wolf sport. Go find your community. Here at Santa Barbara City College, we are so fortunate to have several communities. We have clubs on campus. We hold the Passion Project Challenge and have meetings every week with a podcast and a studio time to help everybody be able to connect and share what's going on with their concept, advance it, or just hang out. Sometimes it's important just to hang out with those type of people, to help you kind of get your ground, get your vision of what you want. It doesn't matter in those circumstances. It doesn't matter, where you're at in the process. Just be with those people and then be accountable to each other. Okay. Be accountable to each other. So when you're meeting, talk about where you're at, talk about where you want to be, talk about what your goals are for the week. And then when you get back together, say, okay, how did it go? Your job is not to be a taskmaster to someone and make sure, crack the whip and make sure they did it. No, your task is just to hold the space for what the person said they were going to do and what they actually did, to be supportive, in where they're at. But I think it's good to ask the critical question, so what support do you need in order to move forward? What was missing this week, and what do you need, in this upcoming week, and how are you going to regain your footing? That's the type of thing that's supportive. So I hope that this helps you find your community, whether you are in college or wherever you are, whether you're, in your job or, working at some organization or, wherever you're at, there are these communities available. Seek one out and become a member, and it will serve you well. So that's it, everybody. I hope this helps you become an even more effective leader of your projects. Doing projects is what this world is made of. If you really want to create impact, and Gen Z, they're all about that, and Gen X and other generations too, right? But you, Gen Z, this is one of the hallmarks of your generation, right? So getting really good at doing projects is going to take you far in life. So that's it for today, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that this helps you. We'll see you next week again, helping you to bring your good ideas to life. Bye-bye, everyone.